Crypto is not just money, it's a story. A story told in charts, tweets, and promises. A story powerful enough to make ordinary people believe they are early, even when they are late. Some people say crypto is freedom. Freedom from banks, freedom from governments, freedom from control. Others say it's a casino, a place where hope is dressed up as opportunity. Both sides sound convincing. And that's the problem. Because manipulation doesn't begin with lies. It begins with selective truth. In this video, I will not give you balance. I will give you persuasion. First, I will convince you that crypto is an investment, not with weak arguments, with the strongest ones. Then I will switch sides, and I will convince you that crypto is gambling. If your opinion changes during this video, that change is not accidental. What makes this dangerous is not crypto itself. It's the confidence people feel while not understanding it. Because the moment you believe you're in control, you stop questioning, and that's when stories become traps. There is a pattern that repeats in every market cycle. People who label something as gambling are rarely neutral. They are usually biased, late, or speaking from personal pain. Either they never understood the system, or they tried, failed, and walked away resentful. These are the people who wait. They wait for clarity, for regulation, for permission. And when certainty finally arrives, the opportunity is already gone. Crypto does not attract careless or lazy people. It attracts those who are actively looking for a way out. People who are ready to leave their comfort zone without being told to do so. People who understand that every real investment looks worthless, even ridiculous, before it becomes obvious. Bitcoin didn't succeed by accident. A small group of people succeeded with Bitcoin because they understood the system long before the system understood itself. Calling crypto gambling is not an argument, it's a confession that uncertainty feels threatening. And in markets, uncertainty is exactly where asymmetric returns are born. This is not about belief. It's about positioning yourself before the world agrees. Most people think money is neutral. It isn't. Money always belongs to the system that controls it. Let me show you what that means. Imagine a crisis, a war, a political conflict, a sudden emergency. Banks don't ask for permission. Accounts get frozen. Transfers get delayed, limits appear overnight. Not because you did something wrong, because the system decided to protect itself. Now take something simpler. Buying a house. You don't just pay the seller, you pay the bank, the notary, the registry office, the tax authority. Every step needs approval. Every step takes time. Every step takes a cut. And if one institution says no, everything stops. This is how centralized systems work. Value moves only when someone allows it. Crypto removes that layer. In a decentralized system, there is no single office to call, no manager to convince, no authority to reverse the transaction. If you own the asset, you control it. If you send value, it moves. No identity checks, no business hours. No intermediaries deciding whether you are allowed to participate. And once you see that, crypto stops being about price. It stops being about charts. It becomes about who has the power to decide what you can do with your own money. If you want proof that waiting is expensive, crypto has been teaching the same lesson for 15 years. In 2010, someone paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. That was roughly $40 at the time. By 2025, that same 10,000 Bitcoin was worth over $1 billion. Not because pizza changed, because the system did. And here's the part people hate. Most responsible money waited for regulation. They waited for institutions. They waited for an ETF. The US spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved on January 10th, 2024. Bitcoin was around the mid $40,000. That was the safe entry. Finally, it's legitimate entry. But the opportunity wasn't born there. It was born when it looked stupid, when it looked risky, when it looked like a joke. So when someone says, "I'll buy when it's regulated," what they really mean is, "I'll buy when the upside is already priced in." Let's talk about the moments people still use as proof that crypto is just gambling. Exchange collapses, global panic, not the protocol, the intermediaries. In 2014, Mt. Gox collapsed. At the time, Bitcoin was trading around $800. Within months, it fell to nearly 400. Headlines said it was finished. The network kept running. Then came March 2020, a global pandemic. Every market panicked at once. Stocks collapsed. Liquidity disappeared overnight. Bitcoin fell from around $10,000 to below $4,000. More than a 60% drop. Again, the same sentence appeared. This proves it's over. But blocks were still produced. Transactions still settled. The system didn't stop. Then came November 2022. FTX collapsed. One of the largest centralized exchanges vanished almost overnight. Bitcoin fell from around $20,000 to nearly $15,000. Once again, the same conclusion was declared. But here is the distinction most people miss. These were failures of companies, failures of custody, failures of leverage and trust, not failures of Bitcoin, not failures of the protocol. Prices collapsed. The system didn't. Every time intermediaries broke, the core kept functioning. And every time the system survived what people said would destroy it. Here is the mistake people keep making. They think opportunity is a single moment. One price, one entry, one chance. And when they miss it, they call the entire system gambling. But markets don't work like that. They move in waves. Bitcoin was an opportunity at $1. It was also an opportunity at 100, at 1,000, at 10,000, at 20,000. Every time people said, "It's too late," and every time a new narrative formed, because opportunity doesn't disappear. It changes shape. First it was holding, then it was mining, then it was infrastructure, then it was exchanges, then it was smart contracts, then it was decentralized finance, then it was NFTs, then it was layer 2 scaling, different cycles, different risks, different winners. People who call this gambling are usually looking for a perfect moment. That moment doesn't exist. What exists is adaptation. As technology evolves, new integrations appear. Artificial intelligence, tokenized real-world assets, on-chain identity, automated markets. Each one creates new inefficiencies, and inefficiencies create opportunity. This is why crypto never runs out of chances. Not because prices always go up, but because systems keep changing. And when systems change, value shifts. Calling that gambling is easy. Understanding it takes effort. But effort is exactly what separates speculation from investment. Remember this: when everyone agrees, there is nothing left to argue about and very little left to gain. Up to this point, everything you heard was a case for crypto as an investment. Now it's time to change perspective, because the very same system, when misunderstood, can feel exactly like gambling. The crypto world is nothing more than the world's most sophisticated and most ruthless casino, with future technology written on the door, while roulette tables spin inside. People call this investment, but what they are actually doing is hoping that someone more naive will come along and buy the same asset at a higher price. Do you know who the house is in crypto? Exchanges and whales. While you enter a project, you don't see the giants inside, sitting on billions of dollars in liquidity, waiting to hunt your stop-loss levels. Think about exchange collapses like FTX and Mt. Gox. These were not simple mistakes. They were the collapse of centralized structures that gambled with customer money. While you believe you are chasing freedom, you are actually being forced to play with loaded dice inside an unregulated casino. The main fuel of crypto is not technology. It is belief. Belief that a bigger fool than you will arrive later. Why does a coin's price go up? Is there a factory behind it? Does it produce a service? No. It rises only because of blind confidence that someone else will pay more for that digital code. If one morning no one wants to buy it, the value instantly drops to zero. This is not investment. This is a hot potato game. Whoever holds it when the music stops loses. Why are there no clocks or windows in casinos? So you forget time and keep playing. In crypto, the "you're missing out" story does the same thing. They constantly remind you of the 2010 pizza story. They say, look, people got rich. Are you still waiting? This is no different from a gambler seeing someone at the next table win a jackpot and getting greedy. They don't bring you to the table with logic. They bring you with greed. People look at charts, draw lines, and believe they are analysts or investors. But here is the truth. The moment you believe you are in control, you have already fallen into the biggest trap. Those lines are nothing more than illusions against algorithms moving billions of dollars. There is no difference between looking at a casino statistics board and saying, red came 5 times, black must come next, and searching for patterns on a crypto chart. A real investment creates value for society. Crypto does not. It only transfers money from one pocket to another. It is a zero-sum game. Every dollar someone gains is a dollar someone else loses. Nothing is produced. No problem is solved. Only hopes and stories change hands. Now ask yourself honestly, would you call something an investment that can lose 80% of its value overnight, has no physical backing, moves only on the hope that someone else will buy it at a higher price, and can disappear instantly if an exchange pulls the plug? Or would you call it a global casino? And this casino does not only take your money, it takes your mind. This casino does not survive on chance. It survives on psychology. Crypto takes advantage of the brain's reward system in the same way slot machines do. One day you gain 10%, the next day you lose 20%. When the brain cannot predict when the reward will arrive, dopamine increases. That uncertainty creates addiction. You check charts early in the morning, not because you care about technology, but because your brain is craving the next, maybe this time. When a crash happens and your money drops 60%, the system immediately sells you a new story. Remember March 2020? It crashed back then and then exploded. This is identical to a gambler placing a bigger bet to recover losses. Instead of accepting the loss, you are told to average down. The house never wants you to leave the table. It keeps you trapped inside the next bull market narrative. Social validation keeps you inside. Twitter communities, Discord groups, thousands of people repeating the same slogans. When everyone repeats the same lie, selected truths start to feel like absolute truth. Leaving feels like betrayal. Staying feels like belonging. This casino never turns the lights off. Traditional markets close. Crypto does not. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A tired mind cannot make healthy decisions. And exhausted players are the casino's favorite targets. Now think about this. You do not hold anything physical, only a screen. One day it tells you that you are rich, the next day that you are nothing. And you keep staring at those lights, putting your time, your effort, and your life on the table for a story. When you realize profit in crypto, what you are actually doing is this. You are selling something you know has no real intrinsic value to someone who is more hopeful than you. Your celebration is someone else's collapse. Your profit is someone else's wreckage. You are told stories about decentralization and equality. But in reality, crypto has one of the most unequal wealth distributions ever created. A tiny percentage of wallets controls most of the market. While you believe you are analyzing charts, a whale moves the market with a single order. They call people like you exit liquidity. You think you are investing. They are feeding. Liquidations are not accidents. They are designed. When you trade with leverage, the system knows exactly where you will break. Price is pushed there. Your position is wiped out. Your money does not disappear. It moves directly to the house. You are told this is freedom, but this freedom comes without protection. If a bank collapses, there is insurance. If an exchange collapses, there is nothing. No authority, no responsibility, no recovery. For this system to keep moving, new money must constantly enter, not because value is created, but because old players need new buyers. When new belief stops, the structure collapses. This is not just a money loss game. This is a life destruction machine. After collapses like Terra and FTX, tragic stories followed around the world. People lost their savings, their homes, their futures overnight. When the illusion of winning disappears, shame and hopelessness remain. And suicide rates become the darkest statistic of this market. You are told to buy the dip. In reality, you are being sent to the bottom of a sinking ship with a bucket. You believe you are lowering your cost. In truth, you are extending the life of the system with your own sacrifice. Over time, you disconnect from real life. Your world becomes candlestick charts and online groups. When the system collapses, those digital friends disappear. What remains is debt and isolation. What is sold as freedom is complete exposure. If money disappears in a bank, there is protection. Here, when the house shuts down, there is nowhere to go. Crypto needs constant new money to survive because it does not produce value. Price rises only when more people believe the story. This is pure Ponzi logic. When new participants stop entering, the structure collapses, and those buried underneath are always the last ones in. This is not a modern financial system. It is a perfectly engineered casino. Remember this: when everyone agrees, there is nothing left to argue about and very little left to gain. So here we are. One world, two realities. One side calls it the future of human freedom. The other calls it a digital graveyard waiting for its next victim. If you're tired of being a background character in someone else's story, join us. We don't sell hope. We dismantle the narrative. Subscribe now or stay blind to the game being played around you. Declare your side in the comments and join the war of perspectives.